About a week ago, I did a video discussing how Pope Francis said you can recognize false Christians by their inflexibility. In that video, I pointed out that what he said was the opposite of what preconciliar popes taught. Then about 3 days ago, the Return to Tradition channel posted a video reporting that Pope Francis doubled down on this and for the second time in about a week complained about Catholics who aren't flexible. CruxNow.com also reported on Francis's ramblings. Francis claimed that, like St. Paul the Evangelist, we are called to be set free from hypocritical outward show, free from the temptation to present ourselves with worldly power rather than with the weakness that makes space for God, free from a religiosity that makes us rigid and inflexible, free from dubious associations with power and from the fear of being misunderstood and attacked. In this video, we'll go a little deeper than we did with the last one. The best place to start is at the beginning, with divine law, and that would be in Genesis. We know from the very beginning God gave man laws, and he commanded them, saying, "Every tree of paradise thou shalt eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat." As Adam and Eve soon learned, there is no flexibility with God's laws. The first sin came about when the devil tempted Eve and preyed upon the flexibility of her will. Now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the earth which the Lord God had made. In the same way that God gave us laws in the garden, he continues to give us laws through the church. In our last video, we discussed how the church has always taught there was no room for flexibility with her teachings. In the last video, I also said that, though flexibility is a good thing with athletic endeavors, it is not a good thing in spiritual matters. So where did that idea come from? It comes from St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas wrote, "It is an evil for a rational creature, if it submits not to God, by presumptuously revolting against him or by contempt of him." Now this evil is possible to a rational creature, considered as to its nature on account of the natural flexibility of the free will, whereas in the blessed it becomes impossible by reason of the perfection of glory. St. Thomas tells us that revolt against God is enabled by the natural flexibility of the free will. So by encouraging Catholics to be flexible, Francis is like the mythical sirens who beckon sailors to their doom. It is not hyperbole to say that when Francis encourages Catholics to be flexible and mocks their rigidity, he is echoing Satan's seduction of Eve in the garden. The second part of this quote from St. Thomas tells us that for the blessed in heaven it is impossible to revolt against God because they have no flexibility of the will by reason of the perfection of glory. Once their will was conformed to the will of God, there was no more room for flexibility. Likewise, here on earth, the more holy we get and the more close we get to divine union, the less flexible will be our wills. St. John of the Cross tells us that divine union only comes to pass when the two wills, namely that of the soul and that of God, are conformed together in one, and there is nothing in the one that is repugnant to the other. There is absolutely no room for flexibility in this path toward holiness. The ongoing rant by Francis against rigidity is a rant against Catholic thinking. It is almost certain that he has people proofreading his homilies. It also seems almost certain that there are many people in the Vatican who are acquainted with actual Catholicism and know that Francis's speeches and homilies are riddled with errors. So it seems to me that there are one of these two things happening. The first possibility is that Francis is warned ahead of time by his proofreaders that his homilies are not Catholic, but because of his hubris, Francis simply ignores all of that. The second possibility is that the Curie is bullied into silence and no one even dares approach any problems with Francis, even behind closed doors, out of fear of retribution. Which one do you think it is? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back again within a week with another one, but in the meantime, please check out my Facebook page and my Twitter page. Every day I post additional content that you won't find on this YouTube channel, and also, please pray for the church.